Connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion. Delivered by conflicting media reports, we connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. A very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender, Todd Halterman. Alpha 3 Wealth Management is with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Ron.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we're celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Some of these are a little bit more significant than other ones, especially for those of us that have a face for radio. Today is National Dermatologist Day. Yeah, I think I need one of those. I need a lot of help. Let's see what else we've got going. National Good Samaritan Day. We need a lot of that going around in our country right now. Yeah, we're not open an umbrella indoors day. I guess nobody's superstitious. It's the 13th, though, so I guess that's okay. Open an umbrella indoors day. National Register. Wait a second. Who put these things in here? Registered Dietitian Day. What's the big idea?
What's the big idea?
That's what I just said. Well, Todd, this one's for you. I not that I'm insinuating something, but I do know that you've got that military background, and we love our veterans. Today is National Canine Veterans Day. Celebrating all of our veterans, but today it's canine veterans. So, love the pups. Yeah, I guess I should not miss an opportunity to pat our team on the back a little bit. Because once again, our team at Geneva Financial has been honored with being the #1 lending team in America for Homes for Heroes. Homes for Heroes. That's for our military, active and retired. It's for our first responders, educators, nurses. #1 team in America, Homes for Heroes. So got a lot of different benefits for our heroes when they use the team. And moving right along, and how about that? We're going to offset the Registered Dietitian Day today. We're going to go with Coconut Tort Day. And having beaten anorexia, that looks pretty good. Coconut Tort. Okay, we better move right along. Stock market, Dow Jones Industrial up 165 points right now. The S&P 500 is up 30. Wait a second. It just popped it down 4.6. A lot of the numbers are changing pretty quick right now. I wonder what's going on. NASDAQ is down 81. Oil, that's up $1.44 a barrel. Ow! Yeah, so that's not a pleasant number right there. But we're watching all of them for you. Do we want to look at gas prices? $4.88 here in the formerly Golden State. Todd, you in Idaho or Washington today?
Maybe.
Idaho or Washington, Todd?
Idaho.
Okay, so you can make us really ill here, especially since this darn Siri doesn't want to shut up. Idaho, $3.32 a gallon of gasoline. And we're at 488 here in California. So another reason why we've got so many clients leaving California and going to Idaho. Josh is at 414. Say that again.
I said, yes, they are.
We have a friend of ours that actually started a website that's called, or a Facebook group. I think it's called Moving from California to Idaho. She just did that recently. So $2.95 is what our loan assistant Arian is paying out there for gasoline. So, I guess elections have consequences. And part of that, unfortunately, part of the consequences that we are seeing, how about that open border? President's having trouble recalling that part. So you missed the welcome back. Yeah, boy, Joe, thanks, Joe. I appreciate you checking in on that. We did miss the welcome back Cotter for Mr. Halterman. We'll try and do that in the next segment just so we have that in place. But I digress. Let's get back to our conversation this morning. So we're looking at the president's commentary. Did you see the congressional hearings at all yesterday? I'm just curious. Is it a new alibi that we can all use, or is it only for the president to say, I'm an old man and I don't remember, so don't charge me with a crime. Don't charge me with a felony. And then you look at some of the partisans there. At least we got something that was not partisan today. We got the House of Representatives voted overwhelmingly and bipartisan. That's a surprise. To get rid of TikTok. Surprise. Is TikTok going away? No. It's not going to go anywhere. But what they might do is they might force them to divest. It might have to be sold. And I did hear that, Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, said he'd like to buy it. They're going to make them divest is what I think is going to end up happening. Divest from Chinese ownership. I don't know about Todd, Josh, I don't know in your areas, if you're getting all the commercials from TikTok now. A lot of commercials, not as many as for lying Adam Schiff. But Todd, you getting TikTok commercials up your way?
Yeah, they're happening a lot more lately. It's really picked up.
Yeah, so the Chinese, I guess they're not happy that they're not going to be. I guess Joe Biden got caught letting the surveillance balloon go flying over the country and surveilling on us. Well, we got TikTok going out there, and they're collecting information. So maybe the House and it's the Congress will do something about it. We'll see what happens there. Hopefully, try and make us a little more safe. I know they're still letting all the people in over the border, still getting people killed in the United States. What other? You look around and you just say, is everything on fire, or is it just me? Right? You got the border there open, and you get tens of thousands of people dying from fentanyl coming in over the border. Now, if as a law-abiding citizen, we have to go through the TSA checkpoints. Well, if you're an illegal immigrant, all you have to do is show that you went on the government's app and registered. Now, they don't do a background check or anything there because they can't. But, we now have known terrorists in the country. Now, I don't know about all of the ramifications of these things because this is a home and finance radio show. But I can tell you this, if we have a terrorist attack, number one, obviously, the attack itself is the worst. But the effect it has on financial markets is a major, major issue to be concerned with as well. So, it'll affect everybody. Now, you say, I'm not invested in the stock market, Ron. Do you have a 401k? Do you have an IRA? Do you have a Roth IRA? Well, if you have any of those things, the chances are very, very good that you are invested in the stock market, so you may want to pay attention. And the key to the game, especially, and I have the numbers, I don't have them exactly right in front of me. Under the Trump administration, the stock market is measured by the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Went up, I think it was 52%. Under the Biden administration, it's up about 27%. That, again, is measured by the Dow Jones Industrial Average. If you've been in the market that long, I'm not a financial advisor, but we'll talk to Todd Halterman when we come back about this. Diversification. I think that might be something you want to think about. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Hey there, friends. Wondering if now is the right time to buy a home? Or are you waiting for a bunch of foreclosures? The facts speak loud and clear. Defaults and foreclosures are down. Sure, we might be headed towards a recession. But did you know interest rates typically drop and real estate values often go up during a recession? So what are you waiting for? Higher prices or higher payments? Don't navigate these waters alone. Connect with RonSiegelRadio.com today. That's RonSiegelRadio.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates, with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or APR. They only tell us locked rates. That's what you use to calculate your payment. Conforming 30-year up a little bit, 6.736. Jumbo up 7.062. FHA up 6.571. USDA. Rural areas, generally no down payment, 6.518. That was down. And the best loan on the market, the 30-year VA loan, 6.388. If you want our thoughts about the market each morning as early as the data allows, each business day morning, rsrmarketminute.com, rsrmarketminute.com. We'll send that out to you. It's a simple email, usually 2 pages, plus we have to put all the compliance stuff on there. So sometimes it goes out to 3 pages, but it's usually about 2 pages long. Kind of give you an overview in a simple method of what's going on in the markets. Let's take a look at what's going on today. We're looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 161 points. The S&P 500 is down 5. The NASDAQ is down 82. Why would the Dow be up so much and the S&P down? We'll talk to Todd about that maybe in a minute. But let's see what's going on in the mortgage world. 10-year Treasury up 3 basis points. Mortgage-backed securities, those are flat. They are exactly even right now. And I'm going to tell you, there's not a huge amount of news coming out today. So when there isn't a lot of news, what you have to do is, or what we do, is we look at the technical analysis and see what the technicals are saying. And they're not real pretty right now. So if you are sitting on the fence, if you've got a loan that you're just trying to decide, should I lock it in or should I wait? Right now, I would be locking it in, most likely ahead of tomorrow's producer price index report, because none of the numbers just don't look good. And on top of that, we know that the vast majority, again, my opinion, the vast majority of the numbers that come out from the Bureau of Labor Statistics are simply BS. You know, they're just fabricated. When you can add 3 million jobs due to seasonal adjustments and birth death rate so that your number looks good when you're really losing jobs, not good. Now I see this morning that Dollar Tree is closing a bunch of Dollar General stores. Now you look at the report from, I think they call it Christmas Gray and Challenger, I think is the name of the company. They announced, they keep track of all the layoffs. January, big layoffs. February, big layoffs. March, we're already seeing some. Eventually, those numbers are going to hit. And if you listen to our friend Danielle DiMartino Booth. She made some comments that we're already in a recession based on unemployment numbers and not looking at the BS statistics, looking at the unemployment rates state by state. So her commentary was, as of October of 2023, we are in a recession. And historically, she also shared this information. Go back to 2008. It took 6.5 years for the NBER to call that a recession. We knew it because we felt it. Let's think about that. That is the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Let's bring on our friend, just for Joe Ingram, I will put this in here.
That never gets old.
No, it doesn't. Welcome back, our friend Todd Halterman, Alpha 3 Wealth Management. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So, I know we didn't talk about this, but I'm going to put you on the spot anyway.
Okay.
So help us understand. So we're looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 170 points.
Right.
Yet the S&P 500 is down about 4 and the NASDAQ is down 78.
Yeah.
How do you square such big differences between those?
Well, if you really look at why these two indexes are up, over the last year, the S&P 500 is up about 20% higher than the Dow Jones Industrial Average. There's a company that not too many people have heard of lately called NVIDIA. And NVIDIA has helped drive that S&P 500 up pretty large. If you look at NVIDIA's stock today, it's pulled down pretty significant. And that's really affected the momentum in the S&P 500. Only about 7 to 10 companies is really carrying the growth of the S&P 500 index. But in the Dow Jones today,
Wait, back up and say that again, Todd.
Only about
7 and 10.
Yep, only about 7 to 10 real companies in that S&P 500 has driven the growth in that index the last year. But if you look at the index itself, by and large, many companies have been flat this year. Dividend-paying companies have been pretty flat until lately because the interest rate risk has kept dividend-paying companies at bay. So they haven't grown a whole lot. But companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, these companies have flourished because of this AI technology wave. And that's really driven the index up. But if you look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, you got companies today like IBM, Chevron, JP Morgan. They're reporting their earnings, and their earnings are up significantly. So you're seeing the Dow rise today based on companies' earnings reports that drive their growth. And then the S&P is down, and largely because the NVIDIA is on a correction today.
Yeah, that's a tough stock. You really want to be careful of owning NVIDIA when you think about it, because on the 21st of February, the stock was at $674 a share. And today, with it being in correction mode, it's at $892. So right. I guess if you had enough options on NVIDIA, you'd probably be sitting pretty happy right now.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of people that owned 10,000 of it a year ago, and they really like the number today.
I'm sure. And I saw, a couple of weeks ago, some of the analysts, they were laughing at them when they were giving a $900 a share projection. And now, some of them have upped that up to $1,100 a share, something like that. Crazy stuff. And, if Josh would have given me a heads up on it, because Josh is a gamer, and that's where they really started. They made their money in AI, but Josh told me that they're one of the gamer companies, and he knows about that stuff. So it would have been nice, Josh. You could have helped us out, man. Okay, so let's get back onto our subject at hand today. So in the opening, Todd, I was making a comment that if you're in some of these stocks, and NVIDIA is a good one to even think about, and it's really hard when a company's up like that to go and say, okay, I'm going to dump it, or I'm going to do whatever on these things. let's think about what about diversification? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I've been over the last 6 months helping people that have highly concentrated stock positions. Semiconductor companies have been one. You know, if you caught Apple or Google or Microsoft in their dip last year, you know, you're up 60 to 100% right now. So diversification is always a key play because every company has a maturation cycle. So, you know, right now is a good time to start evaluating how to do that without getting your head ripped off in taxes. But more importantly, where do you go to diversify to make sure you're still getting the growth that you're looking for? And that just takes some homework. And I personally prefer individual companies over funds. But again, that requires homework.
You know, when you're doing some of those things, and I want to throw this on the screen here real quick, and then we'll get back to talking about that, Todd. Dave says that not taking into account how many have dropped out of the workforce and are no longer collecting benefits. Also, many of the job increases are part-time employment. 100% correct, Dave. I'm glad you brought that up. You know, it really, one of the things that really becomes a challenge, Todd, and I guess maybe it's it takes intense discipline. You know, you see a stock like NVIDIA and you know, it's gone up, you know, a couple hundred points, you know, in a month. And you say, do I really want to sell that? You know, obviously you got the tax issue to deal with that you mentioned, but then you look and say, okay, where am I going to put it? And, you know, do I want to put it into something that's a little safer, or do I want to put it into something and keep, you know, something that goes up that much? I've always said if it goes up like that, it can go down like that.
Correct. Yeah.
You think it takes some serious discipline to pull money off the table like that?
Well, it does take discipline, but again, when somebody is hesitant to do that, it's because they don't know where to put it. It's going to give them the same confidence level and the potential growth that they've gotten. So they get addicted to the growth and want to keep playing the game. And I've watched people in several instances ride something from 50,000 to 500,000 and then ride it back down to 150,000 because of that. But let me give you an example, Ron. In November, I had clients that came to me that said, hey, listen, I really need to buy something that's going to grow like this, but I need to rebalance. Well, at that time, Verizon in October, November was trading at 8 times their earnings when the market index average was trading at $18 or 18 times earnings. Okay. So anytime you find a behemoth in their industry like Verizon that's trading almost over half of the price to earnings ratio that any other average company in the index is trading, you buy it. And if you look at the metrics on Verizon, it's up 20% in 5.5 months. Because of that, it's now trading at 14 times earnings. So that we would call a value company. And then anytime you can find a company that dominates their industry and sector, and they're trading at half of the price to earning ratio of the index mean, then you buy it.
Now that one also, from what I remember, and I don't know it like you do. From what I recall, that pays a pretty good dividend too, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So you get both sides of that. We're going to talk with Todd Halterman more when we come back. What I want to find out from Todd is, you know, we're in tax season. Now, this is not tax planning season. This is tax reporting season. But some people don't do their planning properly. So I want to talk to you about, Todd, about, you know, should we be looking at rebalancing our real estate portfolio as well? Is there benefits there? Do you analyze that, or do most financial advisors stay away from that sector because that's not what they're involved in? We'll talk more with Todd Halterman about his real estate advice as well. You can reach me anytime off air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
79% of all credit reports have errors that should be corrected through factual disputing. You could be saving thousands every year if your report was accurate. CreditSanitizer.com provides a free credit report audit when you furnish a specific $1 credit report. You can use this information to request corrections to your report and potentially save thousands of dollars. Get your free credit audit at CreditSanitizer.com. That's CreditSanitizer.com for a free credit report audit. CreditSanitizer.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Your home is a powerful investment. Going into 2023, there was a lot of talk about a possible recession that would cause the housing market to crash. Some in the media were even forecasting home prices would drop by as much as 10 to 20%, and that might have made you feel a bit unsure about buying a home. But here's what actually happened. Home prices went up more than usual. Brian DeLuke, head of commodities at S&P Dow Jones Indices, explains, quote, looking back at the year, 2023 appears to have exceeded average annual home price gains over the past 35 years, unquote. To put last year's growth into context, we've got a graph that uses data from Freddie Mac on how home prices have changed each year going back to 1980. If you're looking at this, if you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 FM 98.1 video feed, you're seeing this percentage of annual home appreciation. And you can see 4.86 is the 43-year average. And 2023, we were above it. Look at a lot of these years were above it. Big takeaway, home prices almost always go up. As an article from Forbes says, quote, the U.S. real estate market has a long and reliable history of increasing in value over time, unquote. In fact, since 1980, the only time home prices dropped was during the housing market crash. Again, that's in the chart in the red color, shows that housing market crash. And you know, unfortunately, the market today isn't like it was in 2008. For starters, there aren't enough available homes to meet buyer demand right now. On top of that, homeowners have a tremendous amount of equity, so they're on much stronger footing than they were back then. That means there won't be a wave of foreclosures that cause prices to fall. The fact that home values went up every single year except those four is why owning a home can be one of the smartest moves you can make. When a homeowner, when you're a homeowner, you own something that typically becomes more valuable over time. And as your home values appreciate, your net worth grows. So if you're financially stable and prepared for the costs and expenses of home ownership, buying a home might make a lot of sense for you. Bottom line, home prices almost always go up over time. That makes buying a home a smart move. If you're ready and able, give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. That is the real-time real estate segment, again, brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. So let's talk about this, Todd, because, you know, in stocks and bonds and almost every other asset class, we look at rebalancing, taking money off the table and diversifying. For some reason, though, in real estate, we tend to just, buy and hold. Is that a good idea?
Well, the answer is yes.
Okay.
It really depends on your life goals and how you're living your life and what you really want. I mean, in the last year, I've done probably more real estate analysis comparisons than I've done in my entire career because of the state of interest rates and the pricing of real estate that's come down in the last year. I don't know in your area, but up here in Idaho, our house prices are down 10 to 15% of their market peak because interest rates have slowed that supply and demand down, and lending obviously has gotten tighter. So that presents some opportunities, which is why we've done a lot of analysis on rentals. We've done a lot of analysis on individual homes because the market is changing. And if the government does indeed start relieving interest rates later this year and into next year, and mortgage rates come down to 6% or below, I believe you're going to see the real estate market take back off. So there's a unique opportunity right now for people who want to transition in their real estate strategy.
So I don't know. I know that you're in the financial space. I don't know how much you focus on the real estate side in your area, because one of the big things that I look at, in most areas is, we're looking at when they talk about real estate prices, they talk about median home price, right? And median home price is really a worthless number. It only tells us the mix of homes selling. On any given street, are you looking at a property in your area? Is the house for house going down in value, or is it just the medians going down in value? Or do you even know that?
Well, I can tell you that the house to house price has gone down just from a marketability standpoint.
Okay.
But it's not because the market's gotten weaker. It's really the credit market that's affected short-term values, especially in commercial real estate, depending on the type of commercial asset that it is. But residential across the board, the higher homes, the $1 million plus homes seem to be affected a little bit more just based on buying power than I would say your first time home buyer in that $400,000 range, which sounds weird to say first time home buyer in $400,000, but it just seems to be that's where we're at right now.
Look at the bright side. You're not in Southern California, because first time home buyer down here is probably closer to $700,000 or $800,000, because you don't find anything for $400,000. Maybe that's why they're moving to Idaho. But now, it's interesting that you talk about these things, Todd, because so many people, they don't look at strategies, and we don't know what we don't know. So I was chatting with a lady yesterday, and unfortunately going through a divorce and needing to get a new property for herself. And one of the things we looked at was increasing the purchase price. She was talking about asking for a 5% reduction on the purchase price of a property. And we said, leave the purchase price at the full price and ask the seller to use that same 5% to buy down the interest rate. And in her case, the hard rate was 5.625, 30 years fixed. Yeah, it's like 6.6 on the APR, but you don't make your payment based on an APR. So maybe that'll help some people. But going back to what you were saying, when you're talking to folks about doing their analysis, are you suggesting they sell then if the prices are going down before it goes down further?
Well, and I don't think prices are going to go down further. As you and I both know, the index is at an interesting situation with interest rates being, as high as they are. If interest rates expect to wane, you and I both know that means that increases people buying power on the real estate. I feel like we're in a unique situation right now where it's almost predictable that home values and real estate values are going to increase over the next 36 months. And it looks to me to be higher than the 4% per year average that it's been. And that's because when interest rates come down, buying power goes up. And I believe the real estate market's going to heat back up. So, Ron, in the last year, I've been telling people with high interest rates, now is the time to go look at the property you really want, because you can tie that property up at a high interest rate for 12 months and lock your price 10% to 15% below where it's going to be in 2 years. And then in 6 months to 9 months, sell the property that you may have now at a 10% higher price. And help eat up some of the cost of selling. So if a person has the ability to purchase their next home or real estate investment now, and then negotiate a better price to sell their real estate in 6 to 12 months, they'll find themselves thousands of dollars more profitable by doing that than they would waiting a year to go ahead and go get that property and then sell their property.
Which kind of goes into something that I talk about all the time is strategy beats rate always, right? I mean, most people don't look at it, what you're saying right there, where they can, go and take advantage of, using some of your equity right now. Don't worry. People get so hung up on interest rate, and, the last time, I don't, do you have Vons in your area, Todd? What's your grocery store?
We have Vons, a Vons like grocery store, Kroger.
Okay, Kroger's, I think it's the same company. I think Kroger owns Vons.
Yes.
But, walk into Kroger and say, I've got a 3% interest rate and watch the checker laugh at you. Right?
Yeah.
If you've got $100 bill, you can buy that ribeye that you want. So the strategy, it's all about the strategy and understanding what are you trying to accomplish? Where are you trying to go with it? Big issue there. And I think you'll agree, Todd. I mean, if you have a good financial advisor, again, shameless plug for Todd Halterman, right? You look and you say, where do you forecast rates going? And I don't know about you, Todd. I don't really forecast rates. I reference a lot of other people that spend all their time forecasting.
Yes.
Right? So, you and I think, agree that interest rates are probably going to come down. It's not like I say it's a gut feeling. It's because we study. Right? And if you know supply and demand, what you just were talking about was basically economics 101.
Yes.
Right? I mean, the idea there is that, if you get a lot more people coming into the market, do you see a lot of pent-up demand, Todd, for real estate where people are just saying, I'm sitting on the sidelines until whatever, some catalyst?
Investors are sitting there chomping at the bit, waiting for a 6% mortgage rate. If you're on the commercial side, you're seeing, low to high sevens, sometimes 10, depending on the type of property. So yeah, I think there's pent up demand for money movement, both in the commercial and the residential. But we've also seen the loan volume start to pick up recently because people have to move. They don't have a choice. So we're seeing the movement already. Now you give a little bit lower interest rates and it's going to be fun to watch, especially in that multifamily space. The SBA is giving a lot of money away right now for duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. They want people to invest in multifamily. So anytime you can get the SBA to start lending money at a lower rate and allowing you lower down payments, it really puts mortgage bankers like you, Ron, out in front on how to help people build their wealth.
It's a big issue. When we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit about, is there an opportunity in commercial real estate? And, some of the things we saw, what happened with Silicon Valley Bank. We saw now, what is it? The bank in New York, I forgot, that just got the big infusion. But are these interest rates going to kill commercial real estate? I want to talk to you about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Is your budget getting blown up with high prices of gas and increased costs for other household needs? This is Ron Siegel, host of the daily home and finance radio program. Did you know if you have a low interest rate mortgage along with auto debt, credit card debt, or student loans, your family could potentially save $500 or more per month by restructuring these debts? If you'd like a free Borrow Smart analysis with our team, let's book an appointment to see how we might be able to relieve some stress. Schedule your appointment at rsrbsa.com. That's rsrbsa.com for your free Borrow Smart analysis. rsrbsa.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by rsrdebtfree.com, rsrdebtfree.com. Just remember, if you're sitting there and not sleeping at night because you've got a lot of debts on your mind, trying to figure out how you're going to pay them all, how you're going to keep them on time, rsrdebtfree.com. If you got equity in your property, your household blended interest rate might be something for you to look at. If you don't have equity in your property or you don't own a property, well, then you might talk to our friend Chris Corrales, who does do some debt negotiations and to get you out of that stress. No need to be stressed all the time. There's enough going on in our world right now. All you have to do is turn on the television anytime you want, and you can get stressed. You don't need to have it at your bank account and at the kitchen table as well. That is the Borrow Smart segment brought to you by rsrdebtfree.com, rsrdebtfree.com. Continue our conversation. Todd Halterman is with us, Alpha 3 Wealth Management. So, Todd, I want to talk to you a little bit and see if maybe, I don't know, a lot of people say I'm crazy, so maybe this will just prove it. But, you know, most of the time from what I've seen, commercial loans are amortized over 25 or 30 years, but they've got a 5-year term on them.
Right.
And if we look back, if somebody got a loan in 2020, you know, they're looking at probably 3, 4, 5% interest. And if they're looking at having to restructure that loan right now, their interest rate is probably doubled. And many people struggle just to get that, especially commercial. That's a lot of commercial, especially the smaller stuff, is from a small business owner. It's an owner operator in that business. And they stretch to get that business or that property. And now they're looking at a payment of double what it was. Are we going to be looking at a crisis here in commercial real estate?
It's really why I've been doing more analysis on real estate in the last year than I've ever done. The last 12, I just looked at my spreadsheet. The last 12 analysis I've done, 8 of them, we have decided to sell their property and capture their equity while the market was up, because maturing debt coming up is ruining their return on investment. And in some cases, there's going to be some foreclosures and defaults on large scale real estate because of those renewals. And if they've got bigger than 60% debt to asset ratio and they renew, it literally will kill their cash flow and kill their profit. So you really got to be mindful of commercial real estate timing and how much debt you take on, because this is an issue coming up over the next couple of years for the reasons you just said.
So what happens then, Todd, if I go to sell it? You know, a lot of small business people, they look and they say, okay, I'm going to buy the building that I'm using, and that's going to kind of serve as my retirement plan, because we hope it's going to appreciate. And, you know, then down the road, when I'm ready to retire 10, 15, 20 years down the road, maybe, you know, then I can sell that or borrow against it and collect the revenues or rent it, something along those lines. But if I sell it now, number one, don't I have a big tax liability to deal with?
Well, it depends. Yeah, if you've held it for a few years, you should have a tax liability of a gain, especially over the last 5 years. But honestly, there are ways to mitigate taxes on commercial and residential real estate. People just have to plan ahead. So you can invest in different programs to reduce your liabilities. You can defer it by doing things like 1031 exchanges. Of course, you know, I specialize in setting up corporate structure for people. So when they do sell real estate or businesses, they pay no tax at closing. I mean, no tax at closing. When you sell and you set up corporate structure, that's what I love doing for people.
See, and that's a big thing right there. But you just kind of really encapsulated it. And it's something I like to talk about all the time, is that we don't know what we don't know. So I can say I'm going to plan. I've laid out this plan, but if I don't know, there's somebody like Todd Halterman that can set up some sort of structures and plan so that I don't have that tax liability legally, right? You don't even know that you don't know these things. You got to be listening to Ron Siegel radio in the morning or in the afternoon, whenever you're listening, because you got to make a call. So if you own a body shop, you're not that kind of body. I'm talking about cars. Right. So if you own a body shop, you're an expert in something I have no clue about. Right. I mean, I can barely turn the key anymore. I guess it's a push button, so I don't even have to worry about turning the key. Right. But, you know, you spend a lot of time learning that. If you're a tax advisor, you're going to getting 40 and 50 hours worth of continuing education every year. Well, how do you think you're going to understand all these things that Todd talks about because he spends more time studying it than any of us even think about it. So you got to go to somebody that understands these things. So I wouldn't have, if I sell my building and I've got a 20% or 30% appreciation. I don't know about your area, Todd. You sell a building down in Southern California, you're talking $2, $3, $4 million, is a cheap one.
Right.
Right. And you've got 25% equity. You got $1 million in equity right there. You're looking at probably a $200,000 tax bill. You're saying you can help us with that?
Yeah, we just helped somebody that sold a $2 million commercial building in Southern California. They bought the building for $800,000. They had $1.2 million in capital gain that they were going to realize. And literally what we did, it was going to be almost 34% tax by the time they were done. So on 1.2 million, they were going to lose over $400,000 in just capital gain tax liability, over 1/3 of their profit. So what we did was we set up a corporate structure for them, and I helped them facilitate that sale. They paid no tax at closing, and that $400,000 stayed in their corporation, and they used that money to help invest and grow their life here in Idaho. And it actually helped pay for, almost entirely pay for, a duplex that they now use to rent out. So they turned that tax money into a rental income rather than paying the tax and moving and just being done. And I don't know anybody that wouldn't appreciate or enjoy that kind of a strategy.
$400,000 saved. Wow.
And then deployed into a duplex that's now bringing them in $6,000 a month in income. It's about $3,800 to $4,000 a month after all their taxes, insurance, and small mortgage that they have. But yeah,
that's massive.
They turned $400,000 into a $40,000 a year net income.
Hope they're buying you a nice dinner, man.
They actually did make me dinner Sunday.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, those are some serious strategies. And you wonder why I say strategy beats rate always. You think about that. I mean, you don't even have to, even if you had to pay those taxes 25 years from now, I mean, you've made that money over and over and over again. And then 25 years from now, Todd's going to have another strategy for you. So maybe you don't even have to pay it then.
Yeah, it's just it's a compounding effect. It really is.
Well, who was it? Einstein that said compound interest was like the seventh wonder of the world or eighth wonder of the world or something like that?
Eighth wonder of the world is compounding growth.
Yeah, and think about those concepts. If you're out there thinking about selling a piece of property and you've got a lot of appreciation, if you're not calling Todd Halterman before you do that, well, you deserve to pay taxes. I mean, that's all you can say, right? I mean, what's a consultation cost, Todd?
Well, we actually do 10-minute consultations up front at no cost, just to make sure that somebody's not wasting their time trying to figure out strategies. But we have a landing page online that's alpha3taxguard.com that people can just opt in and get that free consultation, so we can just evaluate what they're doing to see if it merits any more time on their part of learning how to mitigate those taxes. But I don't care if you have highly appreciated stock, real estate, or even a business. We can help people make sure they're not paying too much in tax, or maybe not paying any tax at closing.
And the beauty, I can tell you firsthand, because I've sent some folks up to Todd to talk to him and go through the consultation process. And if it's not a good fit for the client, he's not going to put him in it. So it's nice to see that, hey, it's not a sales issue. It's an issue of what's in the best interest of you. So, if you want to talk to Todd, give me a call at 800-306-1990. I do have his website. I do know how to get a hold of him. I got all ways of getting it. Even the smoke signals I can send and get to him. So that, as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean for engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.